that whole system. And, and it's the doctors you find. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that has like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a whole.
What's going on, everybody? Today, I'm going to do a show about a bunch of different topics. The first one is the leaked phone call, that RFK Jr.'s camp leaked with a call from President Trump after the shooting attempt. Second one is I'm going to talk about the RNC Convention, Trump picking J.D. Vance, Iran angle that the media is now saying something about they knew that there was an assassination attempt from Iran. A few other topics, including Elon Musk donating $45 million a month towards President Trump, and a few other things. Jam-packed show. Appreciate you guys for being here. Dream Rare Podcast starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Sorry, I messed up like 3 times in the intro. That's what happens when you take a break and then the president or the former president almost gets shot and then you got to go back to work. But I didn't want to extend my break and just be lazy during a time like this. Not that it was laziness, but yeah, obviously the time calls for some analysis and reporting, especially with the last 72 to 100 hours of craziness. But here's the, someone said, dude, I literally align so much. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Someone said, cheers from Delaware. Thank y'all. All right. Yeah, sorry. If I'm a little off, I've just been like not doing this routinely. So it is what it is. But here's a leaked phone call. Apparently, RFK Jr. says he's mortified that this leaked. He blamed it on his videographer. People online are speculating that it's his son. I have no idea who leaked it, but President Trump called Bobby Kennedy and he wanted to talk mostly, it sounded like, at least from the clip that was released online, childhood vaccinations and how President Trump thinks that too many are being given to kids. And, you know, it's not really clear because the phone call cuts off, but it seems like Trump is trying to kind of get Bobby behind him. I don't know if he's trying to get him to drop out or just in general. It's not very clear, like I said, because the whole phone call was not leaked, but here's the clip I saw on social media, and I definitely thought it was interesting to start off the show. Let's look.
I agree with you, man. Something's wrong with that whole system. And, and it's the doctors you find. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that has like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's this massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago. And anyway, I would love you to do something. And I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. And, he's interesting. It was very nice, actually. He called me and he said, how did you choose to move to the right? Because, so I guess that's, people say, if I was looking straight on, right? He said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart was on all the people pouring into our country, right? But, I just turned my head to show the chart. And something wrapped me. It felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. And it was a bullet going right. What do they call that, an AR-15 or something? That was a big gun. Those are pretty tough guns, right?
It's funny how like unenthused RFK is through the whole thing. He's just standing there like, yeah. Listening back just now, it kind of sounded like Trump was offering him a position, talking about the vaccines, knowing that Bobby Kennedy cares a lot about that and says, I think it would be great if you did it. It sounded like he was unofficially offering Kennedy some sort of role in his presidential campaign. I have a few thoughts on this real quick before we move on. First one is RFK Jr. claims that Trump had offered him a position the first time. And I did whole detailed reports on it, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But if you really want to look, I have like 20-minute videos about this whole story, where when Trump ran the first time, he said that he called Bobby, and Bobby claimed that he wanted to put together a vaccine safety commission, saying all the things he just said on the phone right there. And then Bobby says that Trump took $1 million from Pfizer as a donation. He took a meeting with Anthony Fauci, and then all of a sudden he turned his back on RFK Jr. and never did that. So from RFK's angle, there's a possibility that he doesn't believe Trump, because he's already kind of like lived that whole thing, like, hey, like, Bobby, we should do this. And then they didn't end up doing it. And Trump, went almost the entire other direction when it comes to like pharmaceutical sales, et cetera. But, he might not believe that Trump is actually sincere in his offer, since he has a reason to. He kind of got offered that position the first time, and then Trump closed the door on him. According to Bobby's story, I think it's probably true. With that being said, I think Bobby seems like a nice guy, but I just don't know why he's running a presidential campaign right now. He said he was going to do it as a Democrat to put pressure on Joe Biden. And then all of a sudden he dropped out independent. That was not his original message. He didn't say, oh, I'm going to run to the side. He said, I'm going to run as a Democrat because my family's Democrat. And then I'm going to beat Joe Biden. And then it's going to be me versus Trump, Democrat versus Republican. His plan, at least that he said, was never to run to the side. So this is just my perspective, being pragmatic. I'm not sure what Bobby's intentions are. Maybe he wants to get his message out there. He's not going to win the election. So if, this is my personal like business take from it. If Bobby really cared about all this stuff he's talking about, he knows, I think he knows that everyone knows that he's not going to be the president this term. So, saying you're going to do all these things, but not having the power to do it doesn't really matter unless you're trying to sell books or raise your status to maybe run in 4 years. So I would like to see personally Bobby get behind Trump and demand that he's the FDA, HHS, or CDC, something, give him EPA. I don't know that I'd want him there, but in general, I would like him at HHS or FDA. That's a place where Bobby could do a lot of stuff. So if Trump's saying it and Bobby came out, and I'm just giving a hypothetical, if Bobby came out and he said, Trump offered me HHS or FDA, we could all hold Trump's feet to the fire and say, hey, like, Trump, you promised Bobby that. Don't give it to another pharmaceutical shill. Like, let somebody a little more ethical run those agencies, not a pharmaceutical lobbyist or executive. That would work better. But I'm going to show you some stuff here today. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense to me. I'll show you this one because it fits in with Bobby. He posted this on Twitter. I guess he got Secret Service from Mayorkas now after asking for it for over a year. He said, thank you to President Biden for granting me Secret Service protection. And I am so grateful to Gavin DeBecker and associates for keeping me safe for the last 15 months of my presidential campaign. Some guy, Joey Manarino, I'm not sure who that is, but he made the great, point. And he said at the bottom, you can see, after you saw the job they did on Saturday, do you even want them? Like, after what the Secret Service just did, like, now you're getting them after they just failed to protect Trump. Like, these things don't really add up. And then I saw Trump put out some sort of True Social, and he said, the Secret Service did such a great job. It's like, they really didn't, though. Like, the ones were heroic who jumped in front of you. Like, yeah, I agree that you should compliment them. Like, they jumped in front of you, which is their job. But as far as the whole team, they actually didn't do a good job. So, I'm not suggesting anything, but this is why I stopped taking politics seriously a long time ago. Obviously, I pray for Trump's health and recovery and safety and everything. Same with Bobby Kennedy, but I just don't believe, like, it's like you just saw what they did and now you want them. Also, Bobby's been on multiple podcasts, and he essentially says that the government or the deep state, or I don't know, you could let me know in the comments if you follow Bobby more. I think he said the CIA, or maybe he said the FBI. I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure that Bobby Kennedy thinks that the government killed his family. So if the government killed your family, you want the government's protection, even though the government killed your family. And the Secret Service is under Secretary Mayorkas of the DHS, who's probably the least trustworthy person in government, which is saying something because they're all pretty untrustworthy. So, like, I just don't get it. It's like, you understand what I'm saying? All due respect, I know these are sensitive times. Trump calls Bobby basically as like, why don't you do the vaccine thing under my presidency, because I'm going to win, which is true, I think. And Trump said the same thing the first time, but then went the entire other direction. Bobby has no chance of winning, but he's still going to run and say he's going to do all these things that he's never going to have the chance to do, when he could literally just probably get a job under Trump, especially now. Bobby wants Secret Service protection, even though they just failed Trump. Bobby wants the government to protect his family, even though he thinks the government killed his family. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, I want Robert Kennedy to be protected, but especially after what just happened to Trump, the DHS, the 30% women by 30, and all this like feminism going on in the Secret Service. It's like, I don't know. I don't know the best way to protect yourself, but something just seems weird to me and everybody paying attention. So I can't really put a finger on it, but that's my take about that. I'm going to move on. JD Vance was chosen as Trump's vice president, and at least like the list of people that they showed, because everyone had their own list. They're like Alex Jones for VP and Vivek and General Flynn, but those weren't like the real list. The real list seemed to be like Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, Doug Burgum. I think at one point Elise Stefanik, and Trump was saying he wanted like a woman or a minority, like that. His camp was saying that, but Trump's kind of like apprentices this stuff. Like he changes his mind 1,000 times, which is fine. I don't care. But in general, out of that list, JD Vance was my favorite person. I'm not saying I fully trust the guy, but it could have been worse. Doug Burgum, if you look at his connections to Bill Gates and how he used Bill Gates' money to get elected in North Dakota, that made me not care about him. When you look at Rubio, it's like Rubio's Rubio. Who cares about him? And then some of the other people like Tim Scott, I think is just like a black Mike Pence essentially. So, I'm out of everybody, I feel like pragmatically JD Vance was the best choice. I don't think he's perfect. He's definitely a politician. I'll show you some concerns people have. It seems like Thomas Massey's pretty happy, and Thomas Massey's, in my view, the only trustworthy person in government. So if he thinks it's a good choice, it probably is. And as real as Thomas Massey is and as honest as he is, he's very pragmatic. He understands how the system works. He obviously speaks his truth and speaks the truth, but it's like people are like, I wish Trump picked this person. It's like, well, he didn't though. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's not going to happen. But anyway, here's some concerns that people have with JD Vance. I'm just going to show a few of the big ones. This is a video that somebody made on Twitter, showing how he used to really like be a never Trumper. But in his defense, I mean, I'm not fully defending him, but a lot of people that love Trump now, they didn't like Trump. They weren't even Republicans at the time. So, this was probably pretty early on in Trump's run, some of these quotes, but this is the video that's circulating on social media.
J.D. Vance, in his own words.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. As somebody who doesn't like Trump, I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Trump because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious, him being really outrageous and offensive.
On Twitter, Vance called Trump, quote, reprehensible, an idiot, and Vance loves Mitt Romney.
I'm a never Trump guy.
That's the real J.D. Vance.
So yeah, Chief Trumpster on Twitter made that compilation like months ago because he doesn't like JD Vance. I saw somebody in the comments and many people on Twitter also mentioning that JD Vance is like a Peter Thiel guy. I don't know if Peter Thiel funds him, or I haven't really looked into it, but this is just my take. Everybody besides Thomas Massey and the Republican Party sold out. They're all pretty much just like talking heads, and they blow with the wind. That's why it's important, in my view, for you and people of America to not blow with the wind. Because if you look at politics like it's just a movie, you're going to blow with the wind. But that's what they're doing. So you got to almost be the wind, or create the wind, or move the wind in your direction, or, go with the flow and just be yourself and be honest, and don't, get knocked over by the wind. I don't know. I just gave you a bunch of metaphors or similes or whatever to use. But yeah, like JD Vance, like he was that, now he's this. He's been cool for a while, but he used to not, but he takes the money, but he like doesn't want to start the war, but he wants to start the war. He's just like every other politician, and in my opinion, even Trump. And I'm not knocking him after the assassination attempt. I'm just saying, like, that's just the reality of how politics works. I want to show you something real quick. Candace Owens pointed this out. So Chris Menahan said of, I think, Info Liberation, he said Trump's vice president pick, JD Vance, was on, television. And he said a lot of people recognize that we need to do something with Iran, but not these weak little bombing runs. If you're going to punch the Iranians, you punch them hard. Candace Owens responded. She said, like, is it possible for us to get like one effing person in office who doesn't immediately speak about how we need to continue bombing the Middle East? We do not need to do anything with Iran. That's the thing with JD Vance, with Trump, with everybody in the GOP besides Thomas Massey. Like, they're all, in my opinion, going to do that. Like, that's just who they are. So I don't know. I don't know how to put this, but I stopped looking at politicians how I wanted them to be. Like, I wish they, like, I'm not role playing, and I haven't for a long time. I know a lot of people still do. Like, I want JD Vance to be this guy because that's who I want him to be. Well, he's not. I like, and Trump is a legend. He just got shot. I'm glad he's alive. Like, I hope he wins the election. I'll vote for him. But it's like, I want Trump to be Trump is also not that. Like, he's epic. He's a character. He's a legend. He's hilarious. He's better than Biden. He's the leader of the Republican Party, but like, he's not like Iron Man. I know he kind of seems like it now because he got shot in the ear, but in general, it's like Trump's still going to play a lot of those games. Trump's still, in my opinion, slightly controlled by the donors. Maybe he'll have like an awakening or something, but I'm not saying this to knock JD Vance and Trump. I think JD Vance was the best pick out of all the people that Trump had chosen. I think Trump is better than Biden, but I think people need to just be honest with themselves. And like, JD Vance and Trump aren't who you wish they were. They just are who they are. So either you got to roll with the punches or just pay attention, because for sure, they're going to try to escalate the war in the Middle East, because the Republican Party gets hundreds of millions of dollars of donor money from groups of people who try to basically, cover up the First Amendment for their war agenda and say that it's hate speech to say that they're even doing it. So like, I've covered this 100 times. I don't know that it's the appropriate time to cover it today, but I'm not upset at the JD Vance choice. I prefer him to Rubio. I prefer him to Doug Burgum. I prefer him to Tim Scott. Even with this Vivek thing, like, apparently JD Vance has like a son named Vivek, and he went to school with Vivek, and they used to hang out, and then he named his son after. Like, I don't know. It's just like, all of it's so weird, but people are like, I wish it was Vivek. And it's like, Vivek said he cried on January 6th. Like, you said that, like, I'm not trying to be like a downer about it, but nothing makes sense to me. Like, I just feel like I don't fit in anymore in politics, because like, I just don't agree with that many people. And I'm not trying to be like a hipster about it, but it's like, you said you didn't like Mike Pence because Mike Pence turned on Donald Trump on January 6th, where Vivek said in his book that Mike Pence did the right thing. And even Vivek said he cried on January 6th. So, Vivek had this awakening from 2 years ago in a book he wrote 2 years ago, but JD Vance can't have an awakening from 8 years ago. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just different standards for different people. And some people, like, they just want to hear words, and if someone like Vivek is smart and says words that people want to hear, then they're like, I wish he was VP. It's like, why would he be VP? I'd rather JD Vance be vice president than Vivek. Like, I don't understand. Like, people are like, Vivek is like this libertarian billionaire who sold pharmaceuticals 2 years ago and was flying over to China. Like, I don't know. It's like, all you have to do is just tell people what they want to hear for like 6 months, and then they'll think you're like the greatest thing ever. So I prefer JD Vance over Vivek. I prefer JD Vance over some of the other choices. It is what it is. I guess I'm at peace with, I'm not maybe thrilled with every aspect of it, but I know who the Republicans are. I can see what type of guy JD Vance is. And I think it's up to the base of conservatives to not like get sheep herded by media like Newsmax and Fox News, because they'll mold your brain and then you'll want things that they told you want, and then JD Vance will go do them. But if it's like this, the second that like MAGA was like waking up, then JD Vance woke up. You know what I'm saying? That's what politicians really are. They just blow with the wind. So I'm not complaining. This is just my analysis. I like the pick. I'm rooting for Trump now more than ever, but people got to just like pay attention, because that's who politicians are. And the more you wake up and the more you realize what's really going on, and the more you demand that they stop the wars and stop destroying the economy, then they will. And I think JD Vance, he's young, he's well-spoken. He seems more authentic than many politicians, but at the end of the day, he is a politician and he has changed a lot. Maybe he's grown, but also in politics, like, you have to change. Like, if you don't change with MAGA, you get run over by MAGA. So there's a lot of people that are like, okay, I lost. Let me just play this role. Oh, Mitt Romney's the guy. Oh, I like Mitt Romney. Oh no, and Trump is too outrageous. Oh wait, Trump won. Oh yeah, we're the hardworking men. Like, that's just, to me, that's just who politicians are. Would you want to be vice president? Especially not after this weekend. So, let the guy do his job, and, you play your role and he'll play his. But Speaking of which, I wanted to play this clip from the RNC. It's like Matt Gaetz like being a dick to Kevin McCarthy. And I just thought it was interesting. So here's that clip.
Speaking. What night are you speaking? Are you speaking tonight? Or one person? No. Hey, you're not. If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
That's going like, I wouldn't say viral or anything. It's not that big, but it's going around on Twitter and people are like, man, what an alpha man. What a Chad. He's showing Kevin McCarthy who's boss. And here's my thing. I think Matt Gaetz is whatever, but it's like the new speaker sucks even more than Kevin McCarthy. So it's like he'll say that stuff, be like, oh, you suck, Kevin McCarthy, because he has no power now because Matt Gaetz ousted him or helped oust him. But will he say that to Speaker Johnson? Because there's photo ops with Speaker Johnson right next to Trump. Like, Speaker Johnson sucks. It's like, it's just, to me, it's like all theatrics. It's all like a hangout. Speaking of which, I wanted to talk about the RNC convention, which I just want to give you a spoiler alert. I didn't watch. I'm not going to love it or hate it or be like overly critical because I didn't even watch it. But I saw clips. I saw what Matt Walsh said. Basically, Matt Walsh and Bryson Gray were leading kind of the push to be like, this is degenerate. They had some like, lady, the like lawyer. I think her name is Harmeet Dillon. She's pretty big in the RNC to some extent. She was doing like a Sikh prayer, and they were like, why are they doing other prayers like at the convention? And then like Amber Rose is the founder of the Slut Walk, and she's got an OnlyFans, and she's like got a tattoo on her head, and she's just like talking about how she just woke up like recently or whatever. And I think, not to oversimplify, I think Bryson's critiques come straight from the Bible, and he's just like, this is all demonic and weird. And then Matt Walsh's critiques come from like conservative angles where he's like, do we have to give a stage to everybody like they awaken? And I see it from both sides in a sense, where I'll say this, like, Lil Pump came out. He's like a rapper where I would say he has a big audience, but at the end of the day, like, so does Taylor Swift. Like, Beyonce, Jay-Z, they tried to help Hillary Clinton win. It didn't work. So it's funny, like when Beyonce and Jay-Z like try to help Hillary win the election, people are like, oh, your followers don't translate to votes. But then it's like when like Amber Rose or Lil Pump likes Trump, it's like, oh, they got 10 million followers. It's like, okay, that's awesome. I mean, it's good to have followers, and it definitely helps win elections. But if followers won elections, then we'd lose every election, because every major pop star that's like controlled has hundreds of millions of followers, and they vote for the other way. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but I do see what Matt Walsh is talking about without being too much of a hater, because Amber Rose seems like a nice woman. I'm sure we'd get along and have a great time if we, respectfully as two adults talked. I don't know, that got weird, but she seems cool. I like Amber Rose. I don't dislike her or anything, but it's like the RNC is so desperate for like something cool that they just jump on anything. It's like, oh, Lil Pump, like, Lil Pump is now at like Trump rallies in 2020 because he likes Trump. He's like, now I don't know. It's like, I feel like the RNC is just trying really bad to like be relevant. But here's my thing also is the RNC is so lame anyway. Like, I've been to TPUSA when Amber Rose wasn't there, and it's not like it was amazing. Like, it's like Ted Cruz is trying to be funny, and he's like weird and not nice on the eyes. He just looks weird, and he's like, and everyone's like, oh, Ted Cruz is so funny. It's like, no, like, go to a comedy show. Like, comedians are funny. Ted Cruz is not funny. Ted Cruz is reading memes that I posted 6 months ago, and he's like, rehashing Benny Johnson jokes like that Benny Johnson stole from 17 different content creators, and like, that's his joke. They're not really funny, but on a stage with other Republicans, like, Ted Cruz seems funny, but he's like a sellout and a scammer and a con artist, but apparently that's enough or whatever. So I don't know. I see it from both ways. It's like, yeah, the RNC is getting weirder, but it was always lame and goofy and fake and just a bunch of like donor sucking politicians lying through their teeth. So why not put, other people on stage? But at this point, I didn't watch it. Like, if I was going to watch it at all, it would be to see what Trump said. I don't care what Charlie Kirk has to say at the RNC. No offense. I don't like, it's just not, I'm not like into like watching stuff like that. I probably would have felt like Matt Walsh and Bryson and been like, this is just a weirdo fest. And I'm kind of weird too. I like, if I do a rap show, people probably like, oh, that guy's kind of weird. He's got long hair. So I'm not like shitting on people or trying to be a dick. It's just I don't give a shit about the RNC convention. I just want to see what's going on with Trump. But as far as the other theatrics, I'll say this before I move on. I think a lot of people are going to be, I won't even say humbled, but it's like because Trump got shot, I feel like people, and I'm going to be as respectful as possible. Like I've, I backed him, I've defended him, I've made videos about it. I'm not trying to be rude, but just because Trump got shot, like it doesn't mean the Republican Party's awesome now. And I think a lot of people are in that mindset where they're like, Trump got shot, so like we're awesome, we're the real deal. And it's like, no, the RNC is still fake and ridiculous. Like, the Republican Party is still controlled by the donors. They're still going to scam you. They're still going to lie. Even if he gets in, there's going to be a lot of trickery afoot. It doesn't mean that you should vote the other way. It just means like that's how politics is. It's not like he gets shot in the ear and now all of a sudden it's a Disney movie. Like, no, the RNC is still a total clown show, in my opinion. So I think like as the months go on and as we get farther away from that, people are going to realize that politics is not what they want it to be. It just is what it is, and it's not great. But if Republicans can sweep the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and the base actually pays attention and doesn't get controlled by the right-wing media networks that tell them what to think, that's the issue, in my opinion. It's like they tell you what's important, and then you think that's what's important because they told you that that's what's important, and then they the border closed, everybody understands that, that's obvious. But a lot of the other games at foot, that's part of the game, is they control the base, and then they make you think that they're not controlling you. So I think the future is bright if people pay attention, and hopefully Republicans sweep and do something. Let me know what you think in the comments. Last, I guess my question for the audience is, do you think that Amber Rose and all these other people should be speaking at the RNC because it's like bringing in new voters and different demographics, or do you think that it waters down like the message? I guess I just have such low expectations for the RNC. It's not like I'm making excuses for everything. It's just like, it's not like before that it was so awesome. I remember I watched it one year and it was okay. I mean, I liked Herschel Walker's speech and some of the other ones, but it's just whatever. Real quick, Wall Street Journal broke a story that said that Elon Musk has planned to commit around $45 million a month to a new super political action committee backing former President Donald Trump's presidential run, according to people familiar with the matter. I guess Elon is going to donate $45 million a month. I mean, July, I guess August, September, October, that would probably make him one of the biggest donors in this election season if it goes over $200 million by the time it gets to November. What do you guys think about that? I guess my opinion is it's not a bad thing, because even though I know a lot of people don't trust Elon, and I'm sure he has his own business and personal agenda, to me, out of all the political donors, it seems like Elon has a few like things that really matter to him. He's leaving California now. He hates the fact that Gavin Newsom's trying to push puberty blockers on kids and hide it from their parents, and that's becoming a big scandal in California. Elon is Elon. I don't fully trust him, but I think that I think his money will help America more than most people's donor money. And I know that sounds crazy, but like Miriam Adelson, I'm just being honest. Like, she's donating $100 million. She wants Trump to do stuff for Israel. A lot of politicians, they dump money in. They want Trump to do certain things. Very rarely is somebody with hundreds of millions of dollars dumping $100 million into Trump in order to get something done for the country. I'm sure Elon has his personal and foreign policy bias as well. But I do think out of all the major donors, like I said, that Elon actually cares more about like certain things that actually matter. And that's why America sucks so bad. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but the donors dump hundreds of millions of dollars into the Democratic Party. The donors dump billions of dollars into both, but Republicans, Democrats, you get it. And then they put these people on stage like JD Vance and Trump and whatever. And then you're like, oh, they're doing things for us. But it's like, but they're kind of trying to, sort of, but they're also trying to not, because, it's like they're not really trying as hard as you think they are, because they're basically just like puppets, or they're like middlemen, where it's like they come out and say what you want to hear. They take the money, and they're constantly doing business with all the big money. And most of the big money in America hates America, or they don't care about America, or they don't care about anything other than foreign policy that benefits another country. So, part of the reason America's gotten so crappy is because there is no like pack for America. I know there's like Save America pack, but it's like, yeah, what are they really doing? So I think Elon putting money into politics is good. I don't, but we'll see. Maybe he wants like Trump to go dig up like lithium mines or something for his batteries. I have no idea. Only time will tell. Here's the last thing I want to talk about. Then I'll read a few comments and I'm going to bounce. This is a news story that's coming out that the Secret Service received intel of Iranian plot to assassinate Donald Trump. They're trying to say that, crooks had no known connections to Iran, but the U.S. had received intel recent weeks that Iran was trying to assassinate Trump. So here's my take on this. First things first, if you received intel that they were coming after President Trump or they were thinking about it, that's your beefed up security. Like that's your, we think another country is going to assassinate Trump. That's it. That's really sad because that looked like shitty security, or at least like it didn't look like the best of the best because you knew something was going on. That makes it even more sketchy. Me personally, I don't believe it. It's the same thing as like when they want to start a war with Russia, they just say everything's Russia. Trump worked with Russia. Russia did this. Russia hacked the election. Anything they could blame on Russia in order to push public opinion against Russia or create a reason to attack or start a war with Russia. It's the same thing with Iran. It's obvious, like, Iran and Israel are at war to some extent right now. America backs Israel with money, weapons, and everything. America's politicians are totally not controlled by that country because that would be hate speech because donors are paying money to say that it is, even though it's happening. So the plot to me is like, yeah, I mean, they could. I mean, obviously, Iran probably doesn't like Trump. They have every reason to not, like, based on, the country's beefing. But I don't know. That just seems like, let's, never let a good tragedy go to waste. And now they're trying to basically be like, maybe it was Iran. It's like maybe, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read a few comments and then I'm going to take off. I hope you guys enjoyed my videos yesterday and a couple of days ago. I wasn't going to just let this assassination attempt go by without making any sort of content or report about it. But I have been trying to take a break, and I'll probably do another video like once things hopefully settle down and I have like a little more time on my hands to like explain stuff. But yeah, this was a little like rushed today and the other 2 days, but the time is of the essence on topics like this. Someone said fair take anomaly. Appreciate you. Someone said at least Trump didn't pick a woman. I thought he was going to pick the secret security woman for vice president. She looked qualified. Let me see. Roanoke said, so I feel I got to stick with discernment and not sign my name on that dotted line. You talking about the election? I got you. Don't know about the government, but the Iranian people are nice. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're nice. Someone said, I'm actually fed up with this BS. I think everyone is at this point. The question is like, what are you going to do? Someone said correct, but he can reverse his stance on vaccines. I'm not even sure what you're talking about, but did I hear about Jack Black? Oh yeah. That's another thing I was going to include, but I had so many stories that I got like overwhelmed. Jack Black's bandmate, I think his name is Kyle Gass. He said, what do you want for your birthday, Kyle? And Kyle said, don't miss next time. Don't miss the president, saying he wanted the bullet to hit. And, it's going to affect their band really drastically. Like the tour, from what I saw from the video, it looked big. It looked like a lot of people were there, and they basically canceled the tour because of all the backlash. So, that one joke, I guess, or not joke, just ruined their whole tour. So now they're not going to tour, and they probably have more backlash than they've ever had. Bad timing, definitely not funny, just bad timing on Kyle's part. But the thing is, that's how a lot of people feel. I'm not saying it's right. It's obviously not, but millions of people do feel that way. It's messed up. I wanted to say this too, before I leave, but when it comes to, like if this happened to Biden, right? If Biden's ear got hit and then it was like, oh my gosh, and he made a pose, I feel like everybody on the right would be like, oh my gosh, like they would be questioning it a lot. So I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying, like, I see it through the lens of, like, if it goes through this way, then these people will question. If it goes the other way, these people will question. I'm fine with questioning, but wishing death is fucked up. Like, that's definitely drawing the line. But me personally, I'm confused at how they allowed that guy to get up there, and so much time went by. Like, definitely at bare minimum a massive security breach, but I'll be patient and see what else comes out there. Appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna keep it short, and I'm gonna take my time off and do what I need to do, and then I'll, you know, be better for other videos. Today was kind of quick. I was a little rushed, but I think my last 2 videos were pretty solid. Appreciate you guys. So yeah, I'll be back soon. Thanks for the support, and I wanted to come through for this topic. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded,